Hello, cats and kittens. I'm Lex, and I am your crochet fiberist. Please prepare to fiber. Wow, guys, it has been a while. It's been a dog's age, as it were. I hope you had a wonderful week. I'd like to give a belated happy Veterans Day shout out to all of those who are armed men and women in the military, who are near and far. As a military brat, I really it always makes me feel good when I hear people acknowledging the sacrifice and the hard work that members of the armed forces engage in every day. I think I saw the person who noticed it that I was really happy to see was Teahouse Knits, and if you don't subscribe to her, she's on YouTube and she's fantastic. She's always talking about her teas and projects are quite beautiful, and she just has this manner about her. So definitely dig her. Also, just an expression of extreme solidarity with those who lost their lives in the Paris attacks. All we can say is that our thoughts and prayers are with the families. So definitely wanted to start with those two things. Let's see. So this is going to be kind of a weird episode. I think the lighting is as good as it's ever been because it's dark, and you're catching me just before bedtime because I knew I needed to get a podcast out, but I hadn't, between work and getting myself set up for work, I haven't really had a chance to sit down and work on even project notes or podcast notes, which I normally have. This is an extremely limited set of notes, so I'm definitely going to be doing some work while editing this podcast. Anyway, let's get started. We have Unhooked, we have Kitting It Out, we have the bucket list project, and I think we have everything the same relevant bits of information. Wearable art. We actually don't have Spinmeister this week. I did not get any spinning done, but I will, as we move down, we will talk about that. So let's get started. Let's start with Unhooked. I had a project that I really, really wanted to get done before I started work because I clicked on weather where I was going to be working and realized it was going to be absurdly cold. And by absurdly cold, I mean California cold. It's not insane. When I lived in the Midwest, that was a cold that gets inside your bones and just kind of freezes you from the inside out. It's insane what happened there. But in California, it is cold, but it's not bone shivering cold. We're close to the water though, so you kind of have to take those things into consideration, and because it's such a humid kind of climate, you have to take that into consideration too. But I knew I was going to be very, very cold, and I knew my hands were going to be very cold because I have to leave early in the morning to get to work on time. So I dug into my bag of tricks, and let me see if I can find my finished objects. Oh, there they are. I reached into my bag of tricks and decided to make arm warmers. These, cats and kittens, are my arm warmers, and anybody who has done my rediscovered stitches or has looked at the rediscovered stitches class will notice that this stitch is our Trinity stitch, and I literally worked up 19 foundation chain 19 stitches and worked up 7 rows, increased on row 8, worked up 4 more rows, separated for the thumb, and worked 2 more rows, and I was literally done. The yarn is really spectacular, and it's definitely what sets these apart because they look pretty, homey for, they're very homemade. I'm not ashamed of them though. This is Jade Sapphire 8-ply cashmere in black. I had 2 skeins. I only used one of the skeins, so maybe I can use the other skein for a matching hat. It took, these mitts took, one mitt took about 3 hours, but my heart wasn't super in it. I don't know what was going on. It might have been the hook. I used a K hook, 6.5 millimeters, but yeah, literally, like I said, 19 stitches, worked up 7 rows, increased on the 8th row, worked 4 more rows, separated for the thumb, and worked 2 more rows. I was done. I really like these. These are really great. I might, I feel bad even calling it a pattern. It was just really whatever worked. I'll tell you one thing. I have been super grateful for them. They are so, so warm. And they go with everything because they're black. And they just feel so good, you know? So I totally dig this. And I think this might be the only finished object I managed to get out this week. It's really sad. I've been kind of, I don't want to say obsessed with one project, but I kind of have been. It's kind of weird. It's totally outside of my normal state of being, but it just happens that way sometimes. So this is this is on Unhooked, and let's go take a look at kitting it out. Okay, we're back to the ubiquitous Starshine shawl, and wow, I've got a lot done on this. It's insane. You can finally start seeing the color change, and I gotta tell you, that really, really helped me to keep working on it. So come on, don't be temperamental on me. Oh, for Pete's sake. Forgive. All right. So, here it is. It is not quite my arm span yet. I think by the time it's done, it will be. It is absolutely stunning. I don't know if you guys can see the color shift, but I've been watching that, and frankly, that's been the thing that's been spurring me on. I'm starting to see more of the blue creep into the violet, and I really, really enjoy the way this is looking. I've got one more row before I do a kind of like an invisible increase row, and then I think I have one more repeat. That's my guess. Looking at the yarn, this is less than half of what I started with, I think. I need to start measuring or weighing this ball, but my guess, I started with 105 grams. My guess is I'm around 50 grams, maybe less. I don't know. I think I can get a repeat or 2 out of this. But here's my dilemma, and maybe you guys can help me. Let me show you what the color goes into. It goes into this very, very standard royal blue. You know, it's a really gorgeous blue, but I like it a lot. And then for the bottom, and I think if you've watched me for any amount of episodes, you know what the bottom's going to look like. But this is the yarn I'm using, or this is the yarn I was planning on using. For Pete's sake. Out of the way, out of the way. Even Tinier and Perna from A Verb for Keeping Warm, and Indigo Blue Sky. Now, these colors don't scream out matchy, and that's a problem. Because theoretically, I don't have to add the Croton edging. I've got this edging, and I think I've shown you enough times if you've watched the episodes before. By the way, if you are a new visitor, hello. You know what? You stopped being a guest the minute you press play. You are part of the group. More power to you. Let me redirect. So this is the yarn I was thinking about doing the edging in, and the edging is very structured, very dramatic. I'll show you next episode. But if you've peered through the last couple episodes, I've shown you what the edging is essentially going to look like. And this has always been the colorway I wanted to use. But the more I'm looking at this, the finished product, the more I'm thinking that maybe these two shades do not go together. The problem is I understand color theory. I understand the things I like. I don't always understand if the things I like are aesthetically pleasing. Does that make sense? I mean, I know what I enjoy. I find that I'm really interested and fascinated with the patterning and stuff, and even with colorways and things, but I'm not always the best person for deciphering which colors would go best. I'm just not. Um, but I'm at a crossroads, because if this doesn't work, I'm kind of unsure of where to go. Here's one option. Um, this is KFI Luxury Collection, Cash Fine. It's an 80/20 cashmere merino. Have a look at that. I picked this up at Imagine It in San Fran. And this is the navy colorway. It's number 13, but it's navy. And it's 300, is it 300 yards? Straight 300? 355 yards at a 50 grams. So it's comparable a little bit. It's more comparable to the yarn I'm working with than the even tinier Annapurna, which is 565 yards per 100 grams. So this is almost like 700 yards per 100 grams. So this is closer, and a straight black is always a straight dark blue that reads black is always a good idea. It'll go with everything. But it seems like I'm selling myself short by using such a dark color. I'm still on the fence, and the thing is, the regular shawl is so beautiful, I don't want to take anything away from it, because the other idea was to maybe stripe these two, but I think it's a little too much chaos with the gradient. What do you think? So these are my two really big options. The third one that I was considering, it's less of a consideration, but it's still an honest thought, is Pebble. Pebble is a Shibui Pebble. Have a look-see. You see that? It's, I believe it's 48% merino. No, 40% recycled silk, 36 merino, and I think it's 18 or 19% cashmere. Sorry for the sound issue. Oh my gosh. Wow. That's pretty bad. What was I saying? So this is mostly recycled silk noil. So it has that very matte kind of surface. And the merino and the cashmere look like they're a bit darker. So you'd get a solid, but you kind of see the pebbly bits. The way this is spun is closer to how the cashmere would be spun probably than the even tinier Annapurna. I gotta tell you, I'm at loggerheads here. I don't know which way to go here. If you have any advice, I would really love to hear it, because I'm almost done with the body of the shawl, and I do not want to ruin this piece. I do work on this when I'm doing my marathon along. The marathon along is going interestingly. I'm slowly slogging through this anime with promises to go with something a little more less that next time. I was thinking maybe Xena. I was a huge fan of Xena when I was a kid, and so Xena would be an option, or maybe I don't know. I don't watch a whole lot of shows, and there's not a whole lot of things I get like super or that are worthy to me of a marathon or something I'm willing to watch for long periods of time. Um, I don't know. And maybe the new Netflix shows that are coming out, because I know there's one coming out on Friday. Jessica, is it Jessica Jones? I believe it is. And I'm kind of excited about that one. So maybe it'll be that. But anyway, that's what's going on in here. Let's see. I think I've shown you guys. I'm finally, this row, this current row I'm working on. Come on, you guys. This current row I'm working on is the row I'm going to separate for my sleeves and my faux-weight cardigan. I almost want to make this my work project, but I'm so busy at work, I don't have the luxury of a moment to work on this, except maybe at lunch, which is the way it should be anyway, right? Right, totally. So here it is. I am literally at the last stitch before I start creating the stitches to connect to for the sleeves. I'm really excited about it. I'm hoping to have this done by the end of the year. I'm not super torn on that, but it's a nice thought. So yes, this is the faux weight, if you don't know, is kind of my homage to the featherweight cardigan by Hannah Fettig. It's a really big deal, really beautiful, simple piece that a lot of folks have knitted up for themselves, and I decided to do a Tunisian version for myself. So there we are. It doesn't look like there's been a lot of progress, but I assure you there has been. The yarn is Jade Sapphire Khata, and that is yak silk. I have 700 yards of this. I think I might want to make it longer than I anticipated, which means I might need to go buy another skein of this colorway. I really love it. It's kind of a gray purple, and of course the colorway is Nothingness, which is pretty fantastic. So there's that. And I was going to show this on Unhooked, but it's not done yet. It will be done. I'm very excited about it, actually. And Molly, if you're around, this one's for you. Molly, Desert Mom of the Forest Home Fiber Arts. I finished 2 strips of my Molly's Mile a Minute Afghan project. I'm going to need at least 14 of them. I did 40 rows instead of the 80 rows that she had, because I wanted a really nice lap again while it's starting to get chilly, and something for me to snuggle under. This color is fantastic. The patterning is really beautiful and super simple once I figured out what was going on. I have to be honest, when I first read the instructions, I was like, am I forgetting my crochet instructions? You know, it's kind of been a while since I've paid attention to, it's been a while since I've worked through a pattern all the way through without making any changes. So at first I was like, oh, maybe I forgot how to do it. No. Molly wrote really good instructions. I'm really excited about this. The yarn is working really well. The pattern is just sweet. It's really pretty. It kind of looks like flowers just beside each other. It's like sets of flowers together. I like that. Or 4-leaf clovers. That would be fantastic in green, wouldn't it? You know what would be really awesome? And I'm not going to do this because I have to hurry up and finish this for Molly so she can get some notes on, some feedback on her project. It's pretty fantastic. I'm hoping, let me tell you a little bit about the yarn first. This is all I have from the first skein, and I have 5 or 6 skeins of this. This is really, really pretty. And this is discontinued, and it is Shibui Merino Alpaca, 50/50 Merino Alpaca. It's kind of a worsted yarn. I believe it's 142 yards for 100 grams. And it's a cabled yarn. I don't know if you can tell. Maybe one day we'll take a piece of yarn and like kind of rip it apart and kind of discuss it. But I'm sure most of you who are fibrous of one sort or another know how it works. But anyway, it's a beautifully cabled yarn. The alpaca, I was kind of concerned when I first got this yarn because the alpaca is very, very obvious and noticeable. And I kind of was afraid that I wasn't getting good quality alpaca, but I have projects out of this, and it's just fantastic. The colorway, I believe, is Chinese red, and it makes me so sad that this is discontinued. It just shows patterns so lovely, and it's really squishy, so it's going to be a fantastic Afghan, and I can't wait to get it done. So that is what I'm working on. I think that's everything on my list. Well, I have some ETSs, but I had to put mine in timeout. And part of this is because I haven't been working on ETSs in a while. And I think the other part, I just haven't. Let me show you what it looks like right now. I'm kind of depressed about it, and I just haven't had the heart to take it apart yet. It doesn't fit. It's still like, sorry, it doesn't fit. It's like 3 or 4 inches too small, and I should know this. But I had this formula in my head about how I do my socks, and what I wasn't taking into consideration is the fact that this yarn is finer than most of the yarn I've made my other ETSs in. So I need more rows. My guess is maybe 5 more rows. We'll see. I just have to make myself rip it out, and but luckily I only have to rip it out from here. I wanted to be done with these so badly. I do like the colors, even though I don't think they match. This is Shalimar Breathless and Heraldic, and this I believe is Skinny Bugga from the Sanguine Gryphon, and there's some sort of dragonfly color. It's super, super dark blue. All of the Gryphon's yarn colorways were insect inspired. It was beautiful. Anyway, it's really nice. They're both, I think the Sanguine Gryphon is 80-10-10 MCN, and the Shalimar is 75-15-10 MCS, I think. But anyway, I should have known, and I kept eyeballing it and thinking, oh, I'm fine. I'm not fine. I'm not fine at all. So I'm a little cranky about this, and so it's been sitting in timeout. So those are the things that are in kitting it out, and I am. Let me go back real quick. Molly's Mile a Minute strips for her Afghan. I did it in 6.0 millimeter hook, so that's a J. I just wanted to let you guys know that in case you get a chance to get a hold of it. I don't know when she's coming out with it, but I will definitely drop a note in the podcast when I hear that information back. So, all right, we've done that. Let us move on to the bucket list project. And I chose this one because it's a project that I do have in the works, but it's kind of like, as I keep telling Molly, I'm going to purloin for the moment her idea of a floater, and I have this particular bag set up as a floater. It's something I'm working on right now. I just haven't gotten back to it. This is one of my favorite bags. The most favorite bag I have designed myself. Um, this, I don't know back in the day if you remember, but maybe in the early aughts or so, it was really, really popular to get these crocheted string bags, and then you go to the farmer's market and you get your fresh fruit and veggies and stuff, and you put it in your bag, and it's very trendy. And I've never been trendy a day in my life, but I really, really I liked the idea of a nice string pattern, a nice string bag, but I didn't, and I liked the laces, but I wanted to see if I could make one that was a little different. So let me remove the things. First, let me show you what this is. This is my bento bag, and you can see the colors are really, really distinct. That's Noro. If you don't know anything about Noro, you should know Noro. And if you don't, and if you've heard of Noro and you've heard that it's really scratchy or it's not next to skin soft and you don't want to use it next to skin, I think bags are fantastic for Noro because the colors are just, they're surprising and they're amazing and they're super cool. But anyway, this is the bento bag. This was one of the ideas I got because everybody was, I'd seen a bunch of these, they weren't knit, they were sewn bags with the bigger, this kind of construction, with the smaller thingy here and the larger one here. Wow, spoken like a true English major. Anyway, so I liked that idea, and I wanted something that was cool to easily, something that was I could use to carry. At the moment, it's carrying bunches of yarn, but a lot of yarn. But just carrying things that I like lunch. I've put lunch in this bag before, and I've put all sorts of things in it. I just liked the way it looked. I liked the way it felt, sorry. And I specifically liked this. I don't know if you can see the stitch. That's called the wedge stitch. And once I finish our session on the Berrily cowl, we will probably be moving to the wedge stitch, and I will offer this project as our project to consider. I'll probably put it on sale or make it free. I don't know if I'll do that next month or maybe I'll start in January. I don't know. But anyway, I just really loved the way it turned out. A couple of my friends said I should like get some interfacing or something and then sew a layer into the bag so you could carry, so it could be a good crochet bag to carry all your items. I like that idea, and I would probably have a separate bag that was structured that way, and this bag just for carrying things that you're not worried that are big enough that they're not going to fit through these holes. But I really, really like this. So yeah, I love the colors. This is my favorite version, but I do have one in, you know, that dishcloth cotton. At one point I had a ton of it. I still have a ton of this. So I made a bigger bento bag, and I really, really love how it turned out. And it's so perfect and easy to work through. So yeah, I think my question, as I'm going through this, is what are the bags that you have been interested in seeing as a crocheter? What kind of bags do you like making, or do you make bags? I never used to be interested in bags, but I'm finding now that I'm really, really interested in, you know, exploring different ways that crochet interacts with space and is useful. Now, for a long time, I had a thing about crochet accessories in the home, and that's just because, I don't know, I'm 4. I couldn't tell you why. But for the longest, I felt like working projects in crochet for home accessories kind of denigrated the art. I don't think so now. I think it's just another way to explore crochet, and it's just another dimension. It's like a doily dimension. That's and I think that crochet has a lot of applications, and all of them are excellently awesome. And I think as we move forward in the bucket list projects, I'm going to probably start exploring that a lot more. But this week, it was the bento bag. So, okay, let's move on. Wearable art. There's good news and bad news. Good news, I've been wearing some wearable art. I've been really buying into the usefulness concept. I like projects that are useful, especially as it's starting to get chilly. I've been wearing things. Bad news is it's kind of hard to fit my crochet things into my work clothes thing. I'm currently working as a consultant for a company, and I'm trying to manage that step between being professional and being myself. I don't know what the line is, but I'm trying to figure out how to draw it in a way that benefits both parties, I guess. Anyway, so what have I been wearing? I've been wearing my far cap. I love this thing. It keeps me warm every morning. The problem that often happens for me is because my hair is not naturally straight, and heat and humidity cause my hair to revert to its natural state, which is curly. Sometimes putting on a hat increases, well, it definitely increases the heat, but it also increases the humidity. But it is perfect on the walk into my office. So I'm really, really a fan of this. And it's worth its weight in gold. So that's something I've been wearing. I showed you the mitts. I don't know where I put them though, but you know them. That was the first thing I showed you in Unhooked. I'm wearing those every single day. And even when I get in early, even when I get in the car before I can put my hands on the actual steering wheel because my hands are freezing. So there's that. I wore this a couple of days ago, of course. It was so nice. Oh my goodness. Love this thing so much, the Berrily cowl. So I've worn this a couple times. I might be wearing it tomorrow. I have to double check my outfit to make sure it matches appropriately. So yeah, I've been wearing that. Of course, I'm wearing the Easily. I might wear this on Friday to work because work is casual and I think I can get away with this. So I really, really dig this piece. And it's just a perfect layering piece, and it's so warm, right? Totally. And this hat it's just, I think out of all the Beale hats I've made, this is my favorite one. Color-wise, it's really, really great. And it's squishy, and the folded hem is just brilliant. And yeah, so this I wear, and it's perfect. And I'll probably wear tomorrow, so I have a little, there's venting going on there, so I dig that. And a cowl, and I love this cowl, so I'm looking forward to wearing this to work tomorrow too. So that is what I've been wearing, and that is my wearable art. All right, no Spin Meister this week. I don't know, it didn't work out this week. I do have some things I want to work on in Spin Meister, so maybe I can talk about that for a little bit. It's getting to the end of the year, and I kind of want to close out some things that have been in my stash. So here is some stuff that I want to spin up very quickly. This is 100% Pagora that I picked up from a Verb for Keeping Warm. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, I still have 1.5 ounces of it. I spun 1 ounce or half an ounce and plied it on itself, and I think I got 100 yards. Pagora is a fun fiber. Pagora is a cross between, I believe, the pygmy and the Angora goat. Correct me if I'm wrong, YouTubers, but I think that is the blend that's going on here. And Pagora also comes in different grades. There are grades that tend towards almost a more cashmere aesthete, and then there are strains that tend towards more of a mohair. This particular version, forgive the crinkling, I have to be kind of careful because once I open this, I cannot unclose it. Close it. First of all, it's in a lovely, lovely bat. It's pretty. It's not raw, but you can smell the fact that it's goaty in a good way. It's clean. It's just goaty, right? I don't know if you haven't smelled fiber fresh off an animal, I can't really express it to you. I guess if you have pets, maybe you'll kind of get that idea, but it's not a dirty smell. It's just it's kind of like a people smell. Like people smell a certain way and it's not bad or good. It's just that's what people smell like, or an individual smells like. So that's what this smells like. It is so yummy. So this fluff, let me pull out a little bit, seems to have qualities of both a mohair. And how would you glean that? Well, I would look at the length of the fiber. There's definitely a mix in lengths, and there's definitely a mix in quality. Some of it's a bit more, it's straighter, and the micron probably, it's not as soft. The others of it is soft, fluffy down bits that kind of remind you of cashmere. That, in most cases, when you get Pagora, unless it's stated otherwise, it's probably a combination of a cashmere kind of physical aesthete and a mohair kind of aesthete. If the Pagora person is precise, there's probably a reason. They probably want to either let you know that this is better suited for one thing rather than the other if they start talking about grades. Anyway, so 1.5 ounces of that I'd like to get done. I was thinking about plying it on itself, but I also have a bunch of cashmere merino I think I showed you guys. So I might apply that with this, or I still have, this is from maybe a year ago. I got a bunch of Pagora, and it's just in it's in a roving kind of configuration, and the roving bat kind of got jumbled, so I kind of had to tear as I went. And so I have a bunch of this left, and I want to spin this up. Next week I'll show you some yarn I spun up in this, and it's really, really pretty. What I learned from that spinning experience is that this fiber likes to be spun super, super fine. The yarn I got out of it initially is beautiful, but it's really, really heavy and over warm. This would be great, spun super fine and plied with that super fine. So that's my other option. I also disappeared into Etsy, and while I did not buy anything, I made plans on some things I want to consider. And one of the things I want to consider is there is somebody selling Pagora fiber, and it is one of those fibers. It's not inexpensive. I've seen it as cheap as about $10 an ounce, and I see the standard seems to be $14 or $15 an ounce. So it's cheaper than cashmere under normal circumstances, but it's more expensive than I think most of the other so-called luxury fibers. Camel's cheaper. Most forms of alpaca are cheaper, unless you're getting 13 micron or less merino. It's cheaper. Maybe some of the more exotic silks will be in that range, but and guanaco is definitely in that range. Maybe during my next Spinmeister, I'll bring out some guanaco because that's a lot of fun. But that's about where the prices are. So if you want 4 ounces of it, that's kind of an investment. I would definitely urge you to do your due diligence. I personally found that going on Etsy, I found everything I could ever want. There are a lot of good, decent Pagora folks out there, and they have really lovely product. And in the show notes, I will put some links to some folks, including the place that I was kind of spying out. I really want to keep it to myself till after I buy it, but I'm not going to be selfish. So I'll put that in the links. So that is Spinmeister at the moment. Let me check my notes and see if I have anything else. Let's see. Ooh, I can totally talk about that. We've got a couple of minutes for this. I'm starting another segment. It's going to be kind of yarn adjacent, fiber adjacent. I'm calling it Yowza, Yarn on Wheels. That's kind of a homage to my former audio podcast. It was called Yowza. I think it was either called Yowza or Yarn on Wheels. I don't remember. And it was kind of a lot about me traveling around and visiting yarn stores in SoCal and a little bit in NorCal. But anyway, today's Yowza segment is something really, really cool. And I will definitely post links to this. And I will try to insert pictures right around here. I think that's a 43-minute mark, but we'll see. If you are an aspiring crochet designer, or if you're somebody who's learning crochet charts or something like that, you need to know about these two options. They're both free now. I believe one of them used to be paid program, but now they're both free. The other one is in its beta, so keep that in mind. The first one is called Crow Charts. It's CROCHARTS.com. Now, it's the thing that I really liked about Crow Charts, and I found this when I was poking around Ravelry one day. The proprietress, I will put her information in the links. She is a designer and has some really, really nice designs. And while I was ogling her designs, she mentions on her profile that she kind of created this crow chart. And essentially, it allows you to create. Now, I don't know if you guys read crochet charts. Some people, when they work crochet, they like to see the words. I am one of those people who works almost exclusively on charts, and a lot of the crochet pattern books, or where it's just different stitch patterns, that's primarily how they work. You just see the different stitch markings and what each one of those, you see a legend and you see what each of those various stitch markings mean, and you kind of interpret it. And the thing that's great about crochet stitch patterns is it kind of looks, the presentation is kind of what the project is going to look like, and I think that's so cool about crow charts. Crow Charts allows you to create your own ideas and your own designs. So if you're thinking, I want this beautiful doily and I want to design it and I want to be able to see how I'm building it, you can do that in Crow Charts. And the awesome thing is it's created out of a it's created out of a Google product. I don't know if it's the Google Excel spreadsheet. I forgot what the Google equivalent to Excel is, but it's a cloud program that is associated with Google. And like I said, I'm going to put the link in the show notes and you can click on that and follow and get yourself into the beta. It's really, really cool. It seems to have a lot of really interesting applications. Even if you're just trying to learn how patterns or stitch patterns work, that's a really good tool to have. And if you're moving forward, whether you're going to designing or just better comprehension, it's a great tool to have in your toolkit. So that's Crow Charts, that's one. And the second item is Stitchworks software. Oh, I got this about, was it a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago? I paid $50 for it, and it was worth it back then. And I believe it's just some, I think it's a fibrous, but I'm not sure. I'll have to check on that. But anyway, the idea is the same. The thing I like about Stitchworks is they have a Tunisian crochet component, which is fantastic. I've been fiddling with that for a really long time. The one thing I wish both of these options would have was an ability to create your own kind of hybrid stitch. So, for example, they have Stitchworks has a single crochet 2 together, which is cool. But what if I want to do single crochet 5 together or single crochet 3 together? I wish I could figure out how to create that in these programs, and I will probably send a email to both of those folks and see if that's something that's possible, because I was really considering using this as a teaching tool when I started teaching my Tunisian weave stitch class and the ideas that come behind that. Other than that, they're really versatile. Both of these tools have a learning curve, but it's not any more complicated than learning how to use, Excel. So take that for what it's worth. Yeah. All right. I think that's everything. Oh, wait. I have one more thing I want to talk about. I've talked about sometimes things I want to do, future startitis, just things I want to get done and want in my queue. And here is one of the things that I really want. I linked to it in the show notes, and it's called the Stripey Interlock Wrap, and that is really cool. I'm really excited about seeing that done. I think I don't know what yarn I'd use with it, but I believe that is crochet, and it's quite lovely. So that's something I'm really into. As far as future startitis, Hue Loco, I don't know if you know the podcast. She's an indie dyer and really, really interesting, and she's kind of taking the podcast world by storm, and she has these really intelligent tutorials, which are really, really fascinating, and she has one for dyeing yarn, and I'm so psyched. I've got some yarn I'll show you probably next week or insert a picture here. One of them is in Buffalo Skies, which is a 50-50 Buffalo Merino blend. I have a skein of that. And I also have a skein of something called Local. And Local is a yarn that was produced within, I believe, 90 miles of the yarn shop I visited. And that yarn shop is Berrily, which is an awesome yarn shop and almost deserves its own podcast because it was really incredible. Anyway, so those are two things I really want to start. another thing I'm kind of interested in is, and I don't know if you guys know anything about hap shawls. I believe it's a Shetlands kind of idea, and they tend to be these square shaped shawls worked from I think it's inside out, and they end with these beautiful edgings. And I will link to some in I will either link, yeah, I'll link to some in the show notes. And what I'm thinking about in my brain right now is maybe doing a Tunisian version and then doing like a ripple stitch around in handspun. And I'm trying to source the right kind of yarn for this. And the thing is, I have a friend who's expecting a little one, and I would love to gift her with that. So there's a lot of things running around in my brain at the moment. And finally, maybe you guys know Tiny Paper Foxes. She is another podcaster who's kind of blown up, and she is doing this make two along, where you make two items, and it doesn't matter how you do it, knit, crochet, sew, whatever, however you fiber. And I really appreciate that she said that. She didn't kind of just limit it to knitting. So all you other crowers, if you're interested, you should definitely take a look and maybe join her make two along. So just two items that you make that are supposed to go together. And I've got a couple of skeins of yarn that I am setting aside for a very, very dramatic shawl that I'm still kind of sorting out. And then a really simple, delicate hat. I'll have to flesh it out a little bit more, but I'm definitely looking forward to considering that. So, on that happy note, I just want to say enjoy your fibering, and I will talk to you guys on Saturday. I apologize for not getting out an episode on Saturday. I could give you excuses, but this week I will definitely work on that. Hopefully I'll get it done before Saturday and plop it on YouTube for your consumption. And that will be part 2 of the Berrily cowl. There's a part that I kind of want to go through with you guys so you can work through that project. So, on that happy note, I bid you a fond adieu. And hey, just keep fibering.